Beautiful morning. Not really beautiful. Nice sky. Some interesting clouds. Saw this. Hello, Mr. Big Gigantic Green Leafy Bug. Good morning to you. You like my car? Was it warm? Hey, I've decided to actually do the VGA resolution, use the Droid Bionic camera for my front and rear facing video. Just because it's easier to use one than to use two. And my other one is really laggy. I don't know if I've got to wipe it and reinstall and reset it up or what the story is. But this works pretty well. I'm on my lunch hour right now, sitting at the local mall under a tree, just kind of hanging out. Was watching some videos. If you work a regular job where you get an hour, half hour for lunch, do you like to leave and get away and get a breath of fresh air and kind of recharge yourself? Or are you more the person who likes to just stay at your desk and, buckle down and get your work done? And some people I know actually just eat through their lunch hour, half hour, and just, excuse me, and just work through that, and then they're able to leave half hour earlier in the day. I kind of like the break, so that's not really the way I do it. How do you do it? I also just discovered that if I do a Google Hangout with my phone, not this phone, but my regular phone, my Galaxy Nexus, if I do a Google Hangout with it, it picks up, my car Bluetooth picks it up just like a regular phone call would. You don't have to connect it up like you do for regular audio, where you have to say, instead of AM, choose Bluetooth or something like that. It actually just picks it up like a regular phone call. That is really cool, and I didn't know that was the case. Over the next few vlogs, I think what I'll do is every once in a while, I'll give one fact about myself, just so that you guys can all get to know me better, and eventually maybe you'll reciprocate down in the comments, or do a response video, and tell me a little bit about yourselves. One fact about me is that when I was 19, I went into the Air Force, and I served from 1989 through 1992 as a law enforcement specialist. I was a cop, essentially. It's the Air Force's version of the MP, but they call them SPs, security police. And after going to basic training in Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, in San Antonio, and then also doing my tech school there, and a month in Fort Dix, New Jersey, for Air Base ground defense training, I ended up serving for 2 years in Okinawa. And it was an interesting experience being in another country. It really, being out of the country for a long period of time, it really makes you appreciate what we have here and how great it is in this country. But the people are nice, and it was a decent place to be. So knowing those dates, you might be curious. Yes, I did serve during the first Gulf War, but we only sent 12 people from my squadron to Iraq, or to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. So I didn't actually go. We ended up staying in Okinawa, because when I was in the military, the Soviet Union still existed, and they were still our enemy, and we needed China, and there were all these other possible threats going on. So they couldn't send everybody. So I ended up serving during the period of the Gulf War, but not actually in the war itself, in the theater. But I got recognition for being in the military during that time. So that was nice. After I left Okinawa, actually another interesting story is when I went, after about a year, I was planning on coming home. In the Air Force, you can buy really cheap flights, on transports and such, to get you back to the States. And I was all set. I took a month of leave, and I was going to come home and It was the day before I was supposed to go on leave. Iraq invaded Kuwait. So needless to say, the waits to get home went from 2 days to 14 days. So there was no way I was going to take a chance on being able to get home, especially since I didn't have the money to pay for airfare. Otherwise, it was a little more expensive back then than it is now. So there was that. Once I left Okinawa, I actually served for about 9 months at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. That was interesting. I liked being home. It was a little more comfortable. More stuff I thought to do. When I was overseas, I really didn't take advantage of it the way I should. I mean, I went off base with people and went out and did things, but I spent a lot of time kind of cooped up, bored and bummed and not experiencing what another culture has to offer. And if I had it to do over again, I would do it differently. But so if you're in that kind of same situation and you're overseas serving in the military or something, and you're in a place that you can get out and experience the culture, I highly recommend you doing it, because you might regret if you don't.